Throughout the decades, there have been many great Chevy trucks, but the OBS model was the most revolutionary of its time, leading many to believe that it is the best truck ever made. But is this true? And why is this so? Well, these are the questions I will answer as I explain everything you need to know about OBS Chevy trucks. Now some of you might be asking, what the heck is an OBS Chevy truck? Well, I can tell you that this is more of a nickname for a certain truck, as GM never made a truck actually called OBS. So if you were to go on Wikipedia and type in OBS truck, you would get no results as it doesn't really exist. However, in the custom truck scene, OBS stands for old body style, and there are both Chevy and Ford trucks that share this moniker. In this video, I am only talking about Chevys, and if you want to know the differences between OBS Chevy and Fords, you can check out a separate video I did by clicking a link in the description below. Anyways, an OBS Chevy or GMC is defined by GM trucks produced from 1988 to 1998 and even includes SUVs that were made in 1992 through 1999 and HD trucks that were also made available from 1992 and even ran until 2002. Internally from GM, these trucks were also known as the GMT 400, and they certainly were a step above previous models. Right about now, you might be thinking, how are these older pickups so popular these days? Well, I can tell you that some of these trucks are over 30 years old, and in automotive terms, that qualifies them to be considered classic. Heck, even the Good Guys Rod & Custom Show Series, which only accepts vintage vehicles to enter, recently changed their rules to allow cars and trucks from 1997 and earlier, meaning that OBS trucks are considered classic and most of them can join in all the action. Other than OBS trucks being regarded as classic, people are really nostalgic over everything from the 90s. This not only goes for fashion, but Hollywood productions and basically pop culture in general. Things tend to come around in cycles, and styles from the 90s are absolutely hot right now. It goes to show that when we get older and life gets more complex, we become fond of the past when things were simpler. With that being said, OBS trucks definitely fit into the nostalgia category these days, but they were even very popular from the get-go. From what I gather, GM made over 500,000 of these haulers each year, which made them one of the most popular vehicles on the road at the time. And I vividly remember when these trucks were new, and you could not roll down the street without seeing one of these beautiful pickups. So what made them such a hot ticket then and now? Well, for starters, trucks were typically utilitarian, and this particular model changed the way pickups were designed. Gone were the bulkier lines and parts on the exterior, everything was made slicker, and the body line was sleek, making it more car-like. Something that everyone could enjoy on a daily commute and used to haul on occasion. However, they were still touted as tough trucks, and in '91 GM launched the Like a Rock Chevy truck campaign, which used a song from Bob Seger for TV and radio ads. If you know the song, it probably is burned in your memory whether you like it or not. On the inside, these trucks came with a number of different bench and bucket seats that were super cozy. Some were leather covered, which can crack over time, but I think many can appreciate the comfort and ruggedness of the cloth covered seats. There are also 3 different dashes, with the latter having a passenger airbag for additional safety. All of them can crack over time, but the earlier model is especially prone to break. Fortunately, there are some options here, as LMC Truck makes a reproduction of the early model. I also know that TMI Products recently started making a cover that is an easy solution as well. Moving on to the working features of these trucks, they came with a variety of different fuel-injected engines, with the smallest being a 4.3-liter V6 that had 160 horsepower. There was also the optional 305 and 350 cubic inch small blocks that saw about 200 horsepower. If that wasn't enough for you, there was a 454 cubic inch big block that had around 290 horsepower and a 496 cubic inch engine in the HD trucks that had upward of 340 horsepower. And for those looking to do serious hauling, the 6.2 liter diesel and 6.5 liter turbo diesel engines had a load of torque to get things going. Back in these engines was either a turbo hydromatic 400, 700 R4, or 4L60 transmission that works great unless you overload it too much. Additionally, all these engines can be upgraded for more power, especially since a lot of them came with typical small and big block engines, as they are really popular for hot rodding. The aftermarket support for them is huge, and you can easily rebuild and install power adders like cylinder heads, fuel delivery, and exhaust. You can even upgrade to modern electronic fuel injection for reliability and efficiency. Better yet, you can LS swap them, as there is a number of mounting kits made specifically for these trucks. Also very important on these trucks is the chassis that is super strong and provides a relatively smooth ride. This is thanks to the suspension that features an independent front and leaf spring equipped rear on both 2-wheel and 4-wheel drive models. There is also a lot of aftermarket support when it comes to modifying the chassis. You can easily lift or lower these trucks to suit your styling and driving needs. I would also like to note here that these trucks launched the sport truck revolution in the 90s, as hot rodders were quick to see the performance potential of these haulers. I know that Beltec and DJM suspension were at the forefront here, offering kits to lower OBS trucks with ease. I even performed a 4.6 drop on my dad's 93 GMC in the confines of a driveway with simple tools that just about any mechanically inclined gearhead should have. After all was said and done, my dad's truck turned out fantastic, and it drives like a dream. On top of that, the turning radius didn't seem to be affected like other lower trucks. And this thing can whip around corners and do U-turns like nobody's business. All we did was a static drop with springs and spindles, and we got some great results. But today, there are so many more options for these trucks that can dramatically improve the handling on OBS trucks. If you want to go with coilovers for the ultimate in performance, QA1 has an amazing full suspension package that can be tuned to meet your driving needs. For those looking for the ultimate shock factor with a modern airbag suspension, now is a great time to upgrade these trucks. If a bolt-on air ride system tickles your fancy, RideTech has a complete front and rear kit that can easily be installed. Now, for those wanting to go off the deep end, the Roadster Shop has a couple of chassis options to slam these trucks on the ground. Their top-of-the-line Low Pro chassis even includes an independent rear suspension that allows you to keep the stock bed floor for a super clean look. Now that I've talked plenty about what makes these trucks so cool and desirable, let's move on to popular body configurations and packages. For the most part, previous truck generations were only available in standard single cabs with 2 doors, which means that seating was limited to only 2 or 3 people. Well, the previous square body Chevys did come with an optional crew cab with 4 doors, which sat up to 6. This did carry over to OBS trucks, but like all the crew cabs of the time, the wheelbase was substantially longer, making it more difficult to drive in the city. To meet consumers in the middle, GM offered an extended cab that also fit 6 and had a shorter length than the big crew cabs. At first, these were only available with 2 doors, but later they added a shorter 3rd door on the extended cab portion. Though this was a cool option, what's popular now is standard cab short bed OBS trucks, as they are more reminiscent of older pickups and for those that want a sportier truck. Speaking of hot rod pickups, the ultimate OBS package is the 454 SS, which had a limited production of under 17,000 total, made from 1990 to 1993. What makes this sporty 2-door short bed truck so special is that it's powered by a 454 cubic inch big block engine in the lightest OBS Chevy pickup. If this all sounds tempting and you want to jump into one, you might want to slow your roll, as prices for them have skyrocketed past $30,000 now that they are considered a semi-rare collector's item. When it comes to the marketplace for OBS Chevy and GMC trucks, prices have dramatically risen in the last few years. Not too long ago, you could pick one up for around $2,000, but that ship has long sailed, as many landscapers and construction workers use and abuse many of these trucks. Now it will take around $10,000 to $15,000 to fetch a decent OBS project truck. If you are in the market, you'll definitely want to pay attention to the condition of them, as they do have some common issues. With most of them being over 30 years old, if it's not the mileage that breaks them down, it's the age that degrades parts. We did mention the dash issue, but other common things like the fuel system, many hoses, and the serpentine belt may all need to be replaced. Another thing to check is the door pins as they wear out with use. This is more common with the driver's side as it gets used more. The problem here is that the door will sag when it opens, making it hard to close. Fixing it is not too difficult, but it is daunting, as basically you would disconnect the doors in the process. I've done this fix before and can tell you it's a good idea to have a second set of hands to help. Rust is also an obvious issue, and this goes especially for trucks that reside in the snowy areas of the Midwest and East Coast, where they are notorious for getting eaten alive. However, even if you are lucky to get one with a good body, beware that the paint is prone to chipping off with time. This was a common issue with GM, as they were experimenting with water-based paints for environmental issues, and they had problems with the material losing adhesion with time. If you have a truck with this issue, do note that you will have to fully strip it in order to ensure that a new paint job stands the test of time. Even though these trucks have issues, it's very common for older vehicles like this to accumulate obstacles. However, when you look at the way they were built as a whole, it's easy to see why they are highly regarded by truck enthusiasts and sought after for builds. Topping it all off, the aftermarket support makes it easy to fix up one of these amazing haulers. I think some of the biggest factors of why OBS Chevys are touted as one of the best ever made is that they are very capable trucks that are also pretty straightforward and can be repaired by just about anyone. Nowadays, trucks are more complicated with electronic features, and I think we can all appreciate the simplicity at hand here. Also, the nostalgia factor should not be understated, as owning and driving one of these trucks will transport you to a time when life was less complicated. Well, that just about does it for this video, and we thank you for watching it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future video, and we will catch you next time.